Very good morning, friends. Today's topic is governance, risk, and compliance, and many more questions are included inside. For example, how to implement the regulatory requirements, right? For example, there is a breach in terms of regulatory. How can you tackle this scenario, right? Next is regarding TPRM, right? A vendor has breached your data who is very confidential and very important, very critical for the organization. Then how will you tackle such scenarios? And many more questions are discussed inside. So guys, these videos are actually real based, or I had collected these questions from my colleagues and from my students, and then I had uploaded for you. So guys, don't forget to just take the benefits, because all these questions are very important from the interview point of view. So guys, without time wasting, let's start the session. Coming to the next slide. Your organization received a new regulatory requirement. You are the responsible person to implement, and how would you manage? What measures you follow for the implementation of the new regulatory requirement? So very important question this is, right? This is a this question shows how experience and what are the steps you should take from the implementation point of view, right? How confident you are. So the proper answer is, first understand the regulatory requirement, right? What are the requirement from the regulators, right? They must have sent the email with all the brochures available inside. So just understand the regulatory requirement first. Second point is assess the current state of the organization, right? Where the organization is currently standing, and are we in a position to comply with the requirement or not. So just check the current standing of the organization. Third is to implement the new regulatory, develop the compliance framework or compliance plan, right? For example, if four regulatory requirement comes at a time to your organization, right? So for the simplicity, categorize all the controls mentioned in the regulatory requirements and categorized as a common controls and a unique controls, right? This helps you to implement the controls very easily. So these are the certain processes you should follow. Next is update the policies and procedures in the organization documentation. Next is in-house recommendations of course and train to associates. Yes, after doing all this, right, um, include these related courses to your internal courses, and train the associates or your colleagues. Implement controls and monitoring, right? Monitoring is important after implementing the controls, and schedule of assessment audits, very important, and maintain the database record. So these are the certain scenarios you should venture to implement the new regulatory requirement. Coming to the next question, for example, you are a consultant and deputed at a escalated client having location in their own premises, having customers search about the data privacy, right? So customer is asking, customer having escalation about the search data privacy. How will you identify and handle the situation? So first understand the requirement you are having, right? And collect all the information about the escalations. Conduct the gap analysis, right? Root cause identification is required. Review incident response workflow and implement the corrective actions, right? Recommend the monitoring and reporting. Communicate with customer on time, and training to employees, and include the same in internal courses. So these are the certain steps you should follow. Next question is, your organization has hired a vendor who manages the transactional data, which is very critical. You came to know that vendor has done the security breach in your data with your data. How will you manage the risk and mitigate the same for future? So for this, you should tighten the vendor's boundary, right? For example, check current incident response workflow. This is for supplier. Second is risk assessment, right? Conduct the risk assessment and validate the same. Next is vendor compliance assessment, right? For example, legal and contractual and all. Remediation plan, right? What is remediation plan, for example? So just check the remediation activities. The review of contractual and legal point of view. Next is monitoring and verification contingency planning, very important. This is, guys, contingency planning is just an disaster planning, or I mean just a kind of crisis planning. Next is sorry. Next is continuous vendor management. By applying the continuous vendor management, you should review the vendors in terms of due diligence, and if any gap is there, right, communicate with the vendor with a stricter timeline. So these are the certain ones. Next video on GRC, guys, very very soon. I am just collecting all the questionnaires from my colleagues, and I am also just facing interviews. So I hope, guys, these videos really helps you for your career. If you found any, or if you require any support from my side, right, do comment. I will surely try to give the appropriate solution for your query. So guys, thank you so much. Kindly subscribe, hit the bell icon, and don't forget to share these videos to your colleagues so that they can also take the benefits of these videos. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.